0165.1. All right, please rise and stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do I have a volunteer who will read our mission and vision?
I can read it.
Okay.
Our mission is to foster academic and social growth for each student in a safe, supportive school environment. Our vision is to be a learning community that inspires our students and staff to think critically, grow intellectually, and live with integrity.
Thank you. Item 3, do I have a motion for additions to and approval of the agenda?
I'll move it. I'll second.
Okay, move second. Any, I see we have a
Yeah, so I
proposal.
had in front of you, board members, there's a proposal for 2 agenda items. I'm not sure if you had time to look over them. The first is 5th and 6th grade band and orchestra discussion. And then the second is a resolution, I'll just read the title. Board resolution requiring that elementary school band and orchestra classes be held during the school day.
I like the second bit.
As far as the agenda item first for the discussion, we were planning to do that during the administrative report already. So I don't believe we need that, in my personal opinion.
I think it probably needs to be on. It probably needs to be on there in order for the board to have any discussion. So I really would like to still have both of those on there. If we feel that we've exhausted all conversation by then we could just not approve the discussion at the time that we get to it. And I'd like it to go in as item 9, which would be right after public address, and then everything else would be renumbered.
So a difficult thing with putting it at number 9
Or
is,
maybe after 9.
Could be part of 9.
but we can't respond to anything that comes out of the public address.
Yes, so the actual discussion of the resolution, it would not be based on that? Or do you want to put it before public address?
Could I propose that we do a special meeting for this? Would that be a better
And
place
not
to
have
do
it on the
it?
agenda? Yes, you can.
I mean, my concern is that it might be too late, but we can't discuss any further than that right now.
And then in regards to the other agenda item of the resolution, I did not put this in the agenda, in particular because this was less than a week ago that information came out. Not all the facts did come out as scheduled. It seems like tensions are really high and emotions are driving a lot of the responses without looking to understand each other. This is also not typical board work. So I propose to leave it off this agenda until we had more time to look into it, to review the data, and actually talk to the parents of children who were being impacted. Any other discussion?
I do agree with, I was trying to figure out where I missed it. I do agree with if we can add at least the top agenda of the 5th and 6th grade band orchestra discussion
And I would
to
agree with that.
9.
I agree.
I do wish to do that because I didn't see, and unfortunately I don't see where it is.
Yeah, it's not explicitly called out in here. We were just going to do it in the administrative report,
Well,
where we can discuss it.
We can discuss in the administrative report.
Yes.
My understanding was in order to have a board discussion or any other motions that would come out of that, it would need to be a separate agenda item.
If it was a special meeting, that would be the case.
My understanding is that it needs to be specifically on there unless there's something else that mentions band or orchestra on the agenda. And that's what I heard from speaking with legal counsel.
Okay. If that is the case, I would propose to have it as item 8 before public address so that we do not run the risk of violating our own policies and responding to public address inadvertently.
I think that's fine with me.
Okay. Let's have separate votes for both items, one for each item. So first, a roll call vote for adding agenda item 8, 5th, 6th grade band orchestra discussion. Can I have a roll call vote?
Could I have a motion and a second now that it's
Oh,
been amended
thank you.
as well?
Eddie motioned.
Okay.
Seth seconded.
Okay, all right, thank you. Ms. Lee,
No.
Mr. Plow,
Yes?
Ms. McMullen,
Yes.
Mr. Ray,
No.
Mr. Reed,
Yes.
Item passes. 5th and 6th grade band orchestra discussion will be added in as item 8 on the agenda. Excuse me while I write that down. Okay. Okay, agenda item adding adoption of resolution, board resolution requiring that elementary school band and orchestra classes be held during the school day. Is there a particular place where we want it to be?
I think it would make sense to have it right after. It may not be necessary to even have a vote on it afterward, but I'd like to have it in there. It could also, the agenda can be amended at any time during the meeting as well, as long as it's an item related to the, as long as it's an item related to that topic.
Correct. Okay. So I have a motion to add the resolution to item 9, as item 9 to the agenda.
That would be good, yeah.
Yes. Do we have a second?
I'll move.
Okay. Can we have a roll call vote?
Mr. Plow,
Yes.
Ms. McMullen,
Yes.
Mr. Ray,
Nope.
Mr. Reed,
Yes.
Ms. Lee,
No. Item passes. The agenda will be amended to have that as item 9. Okay. Any further additions or changes to the agenda?
I did notice on Jen Dinan's contract, her name was spelled improperly. I don't know if that makes a difference or not when approving these contracts.
I think it's just,
It was on the original one.
Unfortunately.
Oh, it's been corrected, it wasn't on our end, okay. On the original one that we had. Okay.
okay. Anything else? All right. All those in favor of the agenda as it has been amended, please indicate by aye. Aye. Item passes. Moving on to item 4, approval of the minutes from the special meeting of May 6, 2024. Do I have a motion? Thank you.
Second.
All right. Is there anything to discuss?
Looks good to me.
Very thorough.
I noticed on item 3, it says coordinate dates, times, and locations for staff appreciation breakfast. It says Mrs. Lee, I was the one heading that. I don't know if we can.
The dates was supposed to be me, the food, and what we did was supposed to be you.
Says coordinate date, times, and locations. You weren't gonna coordinate anything with it.
Yeah, I was doing the dates and times.
I don't remember hearing that.
I can't weigh on it since I was not there.
Dave, did you record it?
Yeah, I re-listened to it, and I'm pretty sure that this is what happened.
Okay.
Thank you for their time. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor of approving the minutes for the special meeting, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. I'm sorry, can we be a little bit louder?
Aye.
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 I'm still, okay, aye.
Item passes. Moving on to item 5, quarterly staff member awards.
All right. So we are going to present a few awards. We will start with Melissa Hawkins. She was nominated by, I believe, Kristen Duffy. Okay. Melissa models hard work, enthusiasm, and excellence for her students every day. She balances offerings, both support and challenge to her students' achievement. So we want to congratulate Melissa Hawkins. Is she here? Yes. All right, congratulations,
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
All right, if you want to come on up. Present you with your gift.
Here too.
We appreciate all you do for the community and your students. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank
I'm
you.
a hugger. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay. So Ashley's not here, but we're still going to honor her tonight for all of her hard work. It looks like she was nominated by Jen Bayless. Ashley has made a literacy, a priority and has worked with her team to create a schedule that allows for additional learning time for students who need extra support. Students in upper elementary usually have 50 minutes of ELA a day. Ashley and her team have worked to provide students who need additional 210 minutes of instruction a week. The learning time focused on explicit instruction of missing skills is really paying off for our fourth graders. So thank you and kudos to Ashley Lewis for all of her hard work. And our last, And then it looks like there's another one for Melissa. Is there another one?
But Melissa had two people.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness,
so-
she had two,
Yeah.
okay. And this one says, Melissa Hopkins goes above and beyond every day to make learning for her students engaging and accessible. She has recrafted the teaching methods in her materials to be engaging for her students. She dedicates time out of her plan and at the end of the day to connect and build relationships with her students. She makes sure every staff member is seen and heard. Her bright smile makes everyone's day, and she's an excellent educator. So thank you, Melissa, for all you do.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on to item 6. Take it away.
All right, we're going to start with, we've invited the group who has facilitated the Stronger Connections grant this year to come and share about that work. So I'd like to introduce our team. So we have Cindy Cron, who was previously a school psychologist for us, and I convinced her to come back and do this work with us for the connection to our kindergarten program. And then we also have Miss Sandy Kroll, and I said that right? Kroll, okay. And Cindy supervises and runs our preschool program at Assumption. And then we have Miss Jessie Martin, our assistant principal at Finneytown Elementary, and Miss Meredith Baker, our principal at Finneytown Elementary. And so I'll turn it over to you guys.
Okay, thank you. We're pretty excited about this program, and we gained so much energy as a group that worked very well together, and we just fed off of each other, and we didn't know what this was going to look like when we started the year, and it turned into events, I should say, multiple events that we were very excited about and felt good success with it. We put on different sessions for early childhood providers, and the whole goal behind this was to get kids ready for kindergarten. Because kids have been through so much in the past several years that social emotional, as most of you know, has been like this, especially from COVID. So that was our concentration for most of it, and then we expanded it from there. So we first met with early childhood centers. We had about 6 of those that came, and they were incredible to work with. They were so thankful for what Finneytown School District is doing to help them out as centers. They were very ecstatic that we were primarily talking about social emotional skills, which also went into some self-help skills for kids getting ready for kindergarten. We provided a brunch for them here on campus on a Saturday is what we did. And then they also got a tour of the school. They were able to see the curriculum that Meredith did provide for them. And we also provided them additional resources that they could use online that will be helpful with their children and giving them physical resources. And one of those resources Sandy has, which was social emotional. And I'll let you talk about that.
So this one that was given is we want all children to be able to enter kindergarten, at least be able to describe 4 key feelings. Those feelings of being happy or that their body is calm and ready, that, that their body is frustrated, that their body is mad or it's angry, or that it's sad or it's tired, and on the back it gives them other things that they can do when they have those different feelings.
Okay. So the next 2 sessions that we had were for the families. And we targeted ages 3 through 5 going into kindergarten. The parents that came we set up a registration system and they signed up online. We provided 2 sessions for the first one in the morning and one in the evening. And we also did that for the second session. We did one in the morning and one in the evening. We had attendance at both so that parents who work in the evenings could come in the morning. Usually events are always in the evening and that leaves those families out. So we did 2 sessions. Those were, again, the first one was social emotional, self-regulation skills, kids having temper tantrums. And what we did with that is we developed visuals for them to be able to use with their children around different routines of the day. And Sandy has those, and she's going to share those with you.
So one of the first things we want parents to make sure that they're doing for children as they're entering kindergarten is that they have a good bedtime routine. There's nothing more important that children are getting a good night's sleep. They're coming to kindergarten prepared. And so this was put on with Velcro for them so that they can put their routine in the order that they do it, because we don't expect every family to carry it out as we suggest. But just key factors that are on there. You know, you use the bathroom, you take a bath or a shower, you put on your pajamas, you have a snack, you brush your teeth, story, bedtime, and lights are out. And we really make sure that we emphasize lights are out. That means no technology. The technology is turned off. We also want them to get a good start in the morning by having a good routine. We know what we're like when all of us, our routines get thrown off in the morning, how we can be, and so it's important for children to have a good routine. So this just gave them basic pictures, again, put on with Velcro so parents can put that in the order that they do that. Anywhere from getting up, getting dressed, brushing their teeth, having breakfast, getting jacket and backpack, getting in the car, driving to school. Some kids need more help in developing that independence of getting dressed, so they were also given a dressing board. Again, put in their own order, but importance that they're learning that independence before they hit that school door. We also emphasize within our conversation how it's important to develop that self-help skill of using the bathroom independently, including wiping your own bottom. That kindergarten teachers do not do that. And then the last one that we gave is just a weekly calendar for children about, you know, you stay home on the weekends, you go to school. There was extra visuals given, so if you have like a 4-day weekend or if it's Christmas break, they could put all of those on. We also told them how they could put a picture or write the name of who's picking them up from school, because we know many children have different people who pick them up from school, and that can cause difficulties. And then the parents were also given the calm and ready pictures. They were also given, as well as the daycare providers, were given this ring from Solution Toolkits about different play scenarios and language that children can use about waiting and taking turns, sharing, saying please and stop, all those important things that children need to learn.
So then we had our second session with the families, and during that, one of the biggest questions we wanted to ask them is, did they use the visuals and how did it work? We had 99% of them say, yes, we used the visuals and it was very, very helpful. So we viewed that as very much positive. We did get more people in the second session than we did the first. We had ended up with a total of 27, which is about, we look at that, about 30% of kindergarten. So that's a good start for the first time that we've ever done this. We really encourage them for word of mouth, as we'd love to do this again. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but it was a great event, and the parents were very excited to meet other parents. So that's one of the things we'd like to brainstorm on for even for next year, of how do we continue to build this stronger connection within the community of Finneytown. A couple other things about the second session with parents is we talked about enrollment with registration. That has been a struggle because since we've gone to the online registration and we don't have a set date necessarily, people don't come to register. So that is a struggle. So that is something that we included in all of the sessions, including the early childhood centers, of letting them know our enrollment process, registration, what our dates are. So all of that information is given out. The district does emails out, they send flyers out, they put signs in people's yards about kindergarten. So trying to do everything the district can do to get those kids registered so we know the attendance for kindergarten, which is really important. So transition to kindergarten was huge, and one of the sheets, we had so many resources we gave them, and this was just kind of Anytime 101, Meredith developed. It's all about kindergarten readiness skills on here, what they need to do, what is a day in the life of kindergarten for one day. The other thing we talked about, community resources, the libraries, parks around the area, as well as we gave them different types of activities that parents can do for fun. I think that's the hardest thing as parents. We're really tired when we get home from work, and we don't necessarily take that extra time to do individual time with our children versus screen with our children. We have found that out just across the board, so that's really, really important. And I think, oh, one other thing. The school district, they have a check-in and check-out that they do in a circle with all the classrooms and the teachers. So that is something that we incorporated into this so the parents could see that. So we all sat in a circle in the beginning to check in, and then we also did a checkout on the way out to see what they had learned, what their good takeaways, and if they had any other suggestions or questions that we could help with. Does anybody have any questions? All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Next up, I'm going to invite Grant Anderson to come up and give a facilities update.
All right, thanks for having me. So just a couple updates. So probably the biggest thing is we are planning on doing a groundbreaking for our new building this coming fall, and it's going to be our first home football game. And that will be the end of, what did we decide, end of August, right? August 30th. That is also going to be our alumni weekend, so all of our Finneytown alumni should be in town. They've got all sorts of things planned. It sounds like it's going to be a fun weekend. So we will be doing the groundbreaking right before the home football game, so it'll be a blast. So I did want to share a little bit about what's happening on campus with the board as well as community. It did go out in our community update, but sometimes it's a little helpful just to kind of walk through it. So the top rendering is kind of what we think campus will look like at the end of all of our proposed projects. So we have a couple different things going on. So first and foremost, we are building an OFCC building, and that is the new school building that's going to sit kind of in the front circle of the current secondary campus. So to kind of orient yourself, I'm going to kind of bring up this schematic view, which is not super beautiful, but may be helpful for those. So you have your front circle where you come off of Fontainebleau, you drop your kids off in the front, head back out. The new building sits right in this front section of that, okay? And so when you pull in, basically, instead of having this big pull-in circle, that circle will kind of be gone. That's where the building will be sitting. Kind of put that off the side. And to make room for this, you can kind of see that we have some things that we have to take down out of the way. Here's the Performing Arts Center. The Penn Memorial's out front. That doesn't get touched during that. You have the new building that comes in, and then the existing gym is kind of stays right here. We are going to do a little bit of selective demo. We're going to be removing the old locker rooms that are in really horrible shape. They're not something we want to use. In the new building, we're getting new locker rooms. So we'll be able to use new locker rooms in the new building, as well as maintain our competition-sized gym over here. And that was something that was important to the alumni, and that has been built into the master plan for the last 4 or 5 years. So the OFCC building is the one that we're starting this summer. We're going to be doing utility work. We have to refeed electricity, water, gas, everything, sewage. Everything has to be redone on campus in order to make space for the new building. And so some of that work will begin this summer. So we're doing electric and low voltage this summer. And then when we go to do demolition late fall is when we'll take care of water and gas and the other ones. The groundbreaking ceremony we'll probably be doing right outside the gate, kind of in this center area right here, just as you're kind of prepping and think about where that may be. So this building, demolition really will begin late fall, and we are planning now on opening the building for the fall of 2026. Originally, we were gonna move in earlier than that, but with some shifts, especially around utility relocation, we have now pushed the start date to the fall of 2026. We intend to open on time and not mess with our schedule like we've done in the past. So my hope is to be able to maintain that. They have been tasked with keeping us on track for August of 2026. The other things on here I just want to share, just so people can kind of see a couple different things. At the end of the project, that is when we demolish the rest of the 200 building, 300 building, and the multi-purpose gym. Throughout the build, we are maintaining the multi-purpose building, and we're maintaining the 200 and 300 buildings. So those don't go away. There's one section, not tiny, but one little section of the 300 building I have to bring down in order to make room for this corner. But apart from that, we're not really doing a ton inside those buildings. We're just gonna try and maintain them, okay? At the end of the building, we're planning, it'll be the spring of 2026. That summer is when we plan on doing the demolition. That's when 200 comes down, 300 comes down, the multi-purpose gym comes down, and that's when we push everything back, and that makes space for our future baseball field. And off on the side, depending, we have the softball field. Now we did have, you have not been up to secondary lately, we have a fantastic partnership with FAA Baseball. I don't know the director, but I heard he's an okay guy. But Joe Juncoons, who is one of our coaches, and him and his dad Mike brought back our old softball field. And so they have donated their time and energy to do that. So we've got that kind of back out there right now, but we intend on flipping the orientation sometime in 2026 into the spring of 2027. So the timeline on these is still to be kind of out there. I'm hoping we have everything in place for the spring of 2027. That's our hope right now. But just wanted to kind of share that overarching plan. As of right now, things are still a little bit in flux because we're still finishing up our design documents right now. And so there may be some shifts along the way, but this is kind of where it's landing for right now. So that'll be up at the end, and I'm happy to chat with more people about that. And then the last thing I wanted to share about is the demolition of Whitaker. That is a go, and so that project has been bidded out, and the winner was a company called Mound Demolition. And so the timeline on that, we are waiting to start that until July, allowing our athletic boosters one more time of offering Greek Festival parking. And so that will go at the end of June, and then come July, Mound will come in and they'll put up fencing and bring the building down. And then it is a full site restoration, so it goes back to a grass field. Not quite the farm it used to be, but it will go back to a grass field. So that is my update.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, a couple of quick updates and then I'll get into the band and orchestra shift. First, policy updates. We did meet with Norm around updates. Those will be on either our special meeting agenda or the next agenda, just timing wise. We weren't able to get them on there, but know that there are shifts coming in based on, most of them are wordsmithing to update, but just look for those at our next meeting. We also, if you've been following, Governor DeWine did sign into law the cell phone policy. We will be looking to develop that. I had a brief conversation with our union president around that. I know our secondary campus has been trialing some different things, and so we do have some ideas to bring forward as we look at shaping them, what that's going to look like. Our biggest thing is we definitely want consistency across campuses so that as our kids transition, that expectation is consistent. So I'll put that out there. And let's see, strategic planning from our last meeting. There are still 2 items I'm kind of updating, and I'll get those sent to you as soon as possible, hopefully by the end of this week, if not earlier. Our PBL showcase, I do want to give a shout out to that. That's Wednesday. We will be doing it at the elementary and the secondary campus this year. We're really excited about that. We will be posting a live stream to that on our social media for people, parents who work, or community members who are interested. So I would encourage everyone to kind of check in to that.
And that was Thursday, Wednesday?
Wednesday, the 22nd. And the times for that, just the high school is from 7:50 to 9, and the elementary is 9:30 to 10:30. And then there's also a poetry cafe from 11:15 to 12. Also, our graduation is next week, next Tuesday. Just as a reminder, for all of us, we were asked to arrive by 6:30. And again, it'll be at the Sharonville Convention Center for this year. And then I did want to give a shout out, this is Mental Health Awareness Month, and just to all of those who work in collaboration with our school district to meet the mental health needs of our students, our school counselors, our school psychologists, every staff member in one way or another supports our students' well-being. Catalyst, our partner, as well as Mind Peace. So just a quick shout out there. So the shift for band and orchestra. A little bit of background there. This conversation started in August of last school year. We were approached by Mr. Delaney. He asked to meet with myself, Dr. Dinan, and Ms. Baker. At that time, the schedule for the elementary had been released, and it was determined that 5th grade band would have one practice session a week based on the schedule. And part of that was driven by the fact that our 5th grade class of that year was so large, we had to have 5 sections, 5 homerooms. And because of that, the challenge with the schedule, it worked out that 5th grade got one time. And so when we met with Mr. Delaney, he had a lot of concerns about that. Those concerns expanded. I know they were brought up and discussed in FMPA. They were brought up by the board. And we knew that that was something that we needed to figure out a solution for, because that 5th grade cohort was going to go to 6th grade, and we were going to have the same challenge going into next school year. And so we had talked about, we're going to brainstorm, we're going to figure out something different. So we began meeting. I had meetings with Ms. Baker and with Ms. Miller, because the other challenge we have is Mr. Frank, Mr. Delaney, and Mr. Geisel are all shared between both campuses. So whenever they're at the elementary, they can't be at the secondary. And so that's just one of our opportunities as well as challenges that we've got to figure out. So we began thinking, okay, what could we do differently? And we have done X period at the secondary campus for quite a while. We have also previously at Whitaker did before school programming, including voices and tutoring. So we threw out, what about X period at the elementary, as a way to give uninterrupted time to band and orchestra. I do want to point out, at every point of this conversation and planning, the intent was to expand the opportunities and expand the amount of time our kids had instruction for band and orchestra. And so that's what was driving this whole conversation. And so when we looked at before school programming at the elementary and the X period, we knew the one thing we had to figure out that would be an access issue or an equity issue is transportation. And so at this point, Ms. Baker and Ms. Miller and myself brought in Mr. Anderson, because he is the head of operations, which includes transportation. Also in a previous life, he was a band director, and he wears a couple different hats for us. So in that conversation, we brainstormed that. He figured out that it was doable within our tiers of transportation, so we were able to do it. Now, there have been questions about what that actually looks like. That is something that's figured out as we, in terms of the details based on how many of our families would actually utilize that. So I don't have details, because one of the questions I know in the community is it going to be more satellite pickups, or is it going to be more consistent with what we currently do? I don't have the answer to that yet. Our hope is to get as close to what it looks like for them when they come to school on a regular day as it would for X period. And that's just what I'm calling it. I don't know if we want to call it that. So then we started having conversation with Mr. Frank, Mr. Delaney, and Mr. Geisel. They absolutely, from the very beginning, expressed their doubts and reservations. And we talked through those. We met with them. Ms. Baker met with them. I think Ms. Miller met with them individually. Then all of us came together. We've met twice. I've shared the communication. We had worked with, as I've mentioned in previous board meetings, we have a partnership with Allerton communication firm. We met with them about how to communicate this in a way that would kind of ease the transition, because we knew that this would be difficult. So they helped us draft the letter. We had that ready to go. We had shared it with the band and orchestra instructors to review to make sure that it was consistent with what we had been saying. We started a Q&A document. I had shared this with the board through our board updates. And so I had also had the opportunity to have a brief conversation prior to this with FMPA. So I recognize the importance of this rollout. So let me start by saying that. And so it is what it is, the way it was. I wish I would have been at that FMPA meeting to help the conversation and answer questions then. But I think at the heart of this, what I want people to take away is it was to grow the program. It provides uninterrupted time. And we are putting more resources into our band and orchestra program, not less. And with the transportation, we believe that this is the best path forward to ensure the things that were a challenge last year, for this current school year, for next school year. I don't know that this is a forever solution. I've been very transparent about that as well. We want to try it. We want to meet regularly with band and orchestra to see how it's working. We've got to figure out, is transportation going to be consistent and show up? We've got to figure out if the transition between buildings is going to work. But this is what we feel puts us in the best spot moving forward for our students within the band and orchestra program at this moment in time.
So I have had several questions come my way as well, and some of the things that I also would like to highlight that have been asked include, we think that this is going to be less obstacles as well to the program, less disruptions, because your specials are often disrupted by assemblies, short days, drills, and testing. Those are the main ones, but there's usually other things as well. So this actually also helps ensure that they get a very consistent time period that will not have those interruptions, since it is not part of the regular day. Which I thought was a huge positive, because consistency is very key with music. What other points were there?
I think in terms of the schedule, that is something that Mr. Delaney and Mr. Frank and Mr. Geisel determined. So what was sent out is 5th grade would meet 3 days a week and 6th grade 2 days a week. They felt that foundation of 3 days was more important for the 5th grade. So that's kind of where that schedule originated from. So
I do not question the intent. I do not question the heaviness and stress and frustration that is to put the puzzle piece together. I do respect that. That is stressful. I do respect that part. The concerns that I have, I am sharing with the community. The concerns I have, I did ask those questions. To be successful and everything else, right now we are sitting at, going into next year, at the 5th grade being 100%. Every single student in the 5th grade is going to band or orchestra. Going into 6th grade, if I did my math right, we were looking at 90%. We are very successful right now of getting into it. And again, I do wholeheartedly appreciate the efforts that you and your principals and Mr. Frank have done. I do not, please do not think that I do not appreciate that. I do. The biggest concern is if we have the music department that is having issues or umbrage with it, and then obviously our community and our key volunteers are having issues with it. And you care about our students. Ms. Baker, Ms. Miller, everybody in our district and admin does care about your school, does care about students, does care about the music program. That's not the question. The question is, at the end of the day, when we have a petition that's about 600 signatures, and we have our key volunteers, our key people of our key communicators, they are up in arms of saying something needs to be changed. I'm asking, I'm imploring that there should be a compromise of how to get this done. The other things too, as with the questions I asked, for communication between the admin and the music department, I did ask, well, what's the success rate? What retention rate do we have? What number are we looking at to say this is successful, or what number is it to say, it was okay, and what number is it go, oh, we gotta do something fast. Unfortunately, since been planning since August, there's no, that number's not there, unfortunately. That is concern of mine, saying, hey, this is working, this is not working. So that is a concern of mine. But at the end of the day, with the biggest concern I have is with our community turning to us and saying, can we do something better? I'm asking. Is there's got to be a compromise between finding I'm asking, because everyone at the end of the day does care about the music, does care about our students. Can we have a better compromise on this? Because obviously, as was said, we don't have all of our key communicators that are agreeing to this and supportive of this plan. That's why I asked to talk about this early in this conversation.
What I can add is, I think, a couple pieces. One, we can figure out what that threshold is. If you look at our trend data right now, our I think it's our 7th or 8th grade, I don't have it right in front of me, band has 19 students. So we tend to drop off quite a bit of students from the time they enroll in 5th grade to the time they get to middle school. So we can develop a trend data and figure out what a normal threshold is from when students start in 5th grade. We have that data, I just haven't pulled it yet. So in terms of figuring out that threshold, we can absolutely do that prior to next school year. I think the other piece to this that you mentioned, in terms of the people who have directly reached out to me, and I've had a lot of people directly reach out to me, 2 of them actually have students that are impacted by this. One of them I sat down with and had a conversation, and she actually felt like it would now be a positive for her family. The other one has not responded to my request, but I did send information to them. Everyone else I've been in conversation is not impacted by this shift or change. So I think in terms, when I'm looking at program, I'm looking at the whole system. The alternative to this is our kids in 6th and 5th grade will miss their other specials. And I'm not just talking about general music. And so for me, no, there's not a pivot here. This is what, in the discretion of myself and the team that looked at this, this is what we are proposing for next school year. And this is what is planned, and this is what is currently scheduled.
I would
like to ask a
also,
couple questions, but I did want to have a discussion. Do you think it's appropriate to move on to the agenda?
We're in it.
yeah, we usually.
Okay, do we have to have that?
I would like to speak to the petition as well on change.org, and while I think the intention was very good, and I would like to see the data and actually like go through the names in more detail, I have also heard that there are people on there that are not community members, who have no affiliation with our school whatsoever. There are students on there who actually told me in person that they thought the petition was in support. The petition is really hard to use as solid data, which is why I voted to not discuss the resolution tonight, is because I would rather have the time to talk to the families directly impacted, one of which is mine. My child will be a part of the program.
I had a couple of
I think
things.
for me,
Sorry, would you like to go first?
oh, go ahead.
I had 2 short things. So the current proposal and the current plan, the questions I had were, so the bus service would be within a mile radius well, what about families that have to drive their child to band in the morning and then also have another child that's not in band? So then they either have to carpool or go back and forth, they have to make 2 trips. And that's definitely a huge concern. The other thing that's really concerning for me is burnout. And as a band student myself, I almost burned out in 4 years, and there would sometimes be 8th graders who would come in and would march up. I think at this point, 7th graders are even marching up. But the burnout really sets in after getting up for X period that many days. And my concern is that if it started as early as 5th grade, that they would burn out way sooner and may not even, oh man, that was so awful in 5th grade. 5th graders probably shouldn't be getting up and spending 8 full hours at school. And that they might not even be interested in being in band by the time they get to high school. Even if they weren't in band initially in 5th grade, or they were and then they dropped out and came back. And the other concern I had was starting out with like an X period before the day in 5th and 6th grade, and then going to during the day for middle school and then back to X period. That does like as a band student myself, that would not be something I would want to do, and it'd be confusing. So I'm before the day, and then I'm during the day, and then I'm before the day, and I'm already burned out on before the day, but I have to go back before the day again, and I might not even want to do it by the time I get to high school if I were a band student, because I'm already burned out by getting up for several years, if I even was able to get to school to participate in the first place. So those were like kind of my main concerns. The other thing was, I really do think that if this change was made, and this is why I brought it up, and I know I can't speak for the other board members, but I really do feel that this would have a negative impact on the band program going forward. And really, this type of thing is typically not a board conversation, and for those that don't necessarily watch board meetings, this really is something that would typically, like at face value, this is something that would typically be under the purview of the superintendent, because it's the day-to-day running of the district. But the reason why I brought it up is because I do think that music is part of the larger vision for our district. People in the community, when you ask them, band is like the forefront. It's part of it's one of the best things about what makes Finneytown Finneytown, and it has been for as long as I can remember, so 25 plus years. I can't go back further than that myself. So my concern is that even doing this for a year would cause such a negative impact that the enrollment would trail off, and I don't know if it could be recovered. And that's my concern there, is that there might not be a band program, or maybe we lose our band directors, and that's up to them. But maybe they wouldn't want to stick around. Maybe they want to both be with, maybe they want to be with each other during X period rehearsal for marching band. That's really important to have 2 directors for marching band. What if you only have 1 band director for marching band? You need to have someone that can work with the percussion or in small groups. So it would also destroy the marching, well, my concern would be that it would destroy the marching band unless there was additional staffing. So those are kind of my main concerns there, and why I think that even though the proposal would essentially blow up the elementary school schedule currently, why I think it'd be necessary. And I'm not sure how the rest of the board members feel about that, but I do think that it's a necessary change. And the way that I wrote it, obviously I won't read it right at this moment, but the way that I wrote it is so that it would have a requirement of 2 days a week during regular school hours, with each session lasting a minimum of 40 minutes, which I think is typical for specials. But I do think, and this is where I'll kind of stop my speaking, but I do think that a longer conversation with us as a board might be needed at a board retreat, or board retreat over the summer, just to kind of get on the same page about vision, because this, for me, showed that we're clearly not on the same page with our administrators. At least I'm not on the same page with our administrators. I can't speak for the rest of the board. And we haven't like very clearly weighed in on what are our priorities for the district. So I think that's something that we need to have a conversation with over the summer. But I do think that if the choice is other specials or 5th and 6th grade band, 5th and 6th grade band is my choice. And even if they can't take the other specials. And I think that's really the real difference in opinion, is that I think that should have been something the schedules are made around, not like a byproduct that's shoved off into the morning. And I think that's part of, like I said, part of the broader vision issues, the disagreements or misunderstandings about vision.
Question really quick. Sorry, can I just ask one quick question? When does high school X period start?
7 o'clock,
7 o'clock? When does high school start?
7:50.
So high school starts at 7:50. When would X period start for this proposal?
8:10.
8:10? So they do not overlap?
No, there's 20 minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, that's a good point, yeah.
Sorry, I know you
So,
want
but
to
there
go.
would
I
still
just.
be a kind of back and forth, so it wouldn't interfere with marching band, is what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay, thank you for
I
that.
think for me, I just want to say, I don't want to discredit any work or, anything that went into this process. I know it was a lot of work for all the administration. I know it's not something you guys considered overnight. I do want to apologize that I got the information out to the community a little bit sooner before you had the chance to even, express or, explain your reasoning behind this. I think for me, this decision is something that hasn't been easy for me. I've lost a lot of sleep over this. I know it's impacted all of us differently, but for me, I'm thinking about the child at home who was up the night before, because their parents worked late, or the child at home who doesn't have the support that some of our students have that are very involved with band, because I was that child. Music was my outlet, and I can't imagine where my life would be if it weren't for music. And I think this puts a lot of risk for those students who don't have that support, and that's what makes it unequitable, in my opinion. I feel like not all the students will receive transportation. Not all students can figure out a way, So I know this is your decision, and at this point, I know we have to accept it. But I would like to say that going forward, maybe we can have a better way of sharing this to the community so they're not blindsided. I feel like that would have gone over a little bit better if we maybe had discussed it like at the Pro Action Cafes or maybe Key Connectors a little bit sooner. But I know that you care for our students, all of our staff cares for our students and wants the best. But I think that there should have been some more thought into it. But.
I'm going to add, again, I apologize, but first off, I believe, knowing our community, if it was rolled out right or rolled out accidental, we will still be in this conversation. I know this community. I know, I'm new to this board, but not new to this community. You're not the only one affected. I got two of them that are going to be affected by this, and the scheduling that my wife has to do, or jocketing that she will have to do. But thankfully, I'm blessed enough to where we have the means to do that. We don't know. The problem at the end of the day is we don't know what families do have the means to do this, and we don't know who is not being able to. We don't know at the end of the day, and at 2-week evaluation period we're talking about, we don't know who can do this or not. We don't, so we can't, the truth be told, someone's right, someone's wrong. At the end of the day, but it's not, and unfortunately it's not a black and white issue, it is a gray issue, because we do care about students, we do care about the music program. But why seeing if I can have I don't know, I suppose it can't be a vote, and I'm not trying to supersede your authority, I do apologize if you feel that way. As a board member, I am supposed to be speaking for the community. I'm speaking for the community, because if there's any way, and I can possibly have a vote for this, have one more meeting with your team, your new principals, the music department, and maybe even FLPA involved to find a compromise on something. Because at the end of the day, even though those 600 might not be valid, but if you look on who shared that, these are key people, these are key Finneytowners. These are not just alumni that live out of the district. This is coaches, these are, man, I'm stuck with one person in particular, but these are people that have led red and baby blue when I was a kid that still were involved in this town and still involved. They are this passionate. Is it possible? So I'm asking the board before we start having circular conversations, are we allowed to put to a vote? Can you sit down with those key people one more time to see if there's a compromise?
And I wanted to add too, we wouldn't put any of our core courses before school, like, ELA or math. We wouldn't offer those courses before school. So I'm just kind of confused why we're treating this as an extracurricular when it's a part of the regular instruction.
But it is an
for students.
extracurricular.
Yeah, it is.
not.
It's not an extracurricular.
But band isn't extracurricular.
By
There
Music
is-
class is not. What if the boosters get loud and say that they want their athletes to be able to run better routes or take better jump shots by the time they get to high school to improve our sports teams? Are we then going to allow them to take a special away so that they can do extra gym? Athletics has the same impact on graduation rate, on test scores, on decreasing absenteeism.
Correct.
Extracurriculars
Correct.
do that.
By definition is, by definition is extracurricular. The other concern that, along with the people that bleed red and baby blue, is the fact that we have these many people willing to come to us. Our 5-year forecasts don't look too good unless we make drastic changes, and I know we all don't want to make drastic changes. We're going to turn to our community and ask for a levy. If they are still salty about what happened, what's likelihood? Yeah,
Are they likely to
what's the
come out and help,
likelihood they're
and because they're the same ones that are gonna be going door to door for that levy?
Yeah.
They probably won't be outspoken against it,
So-
but will they?
Were we also not
Let's-
asked, though,
let's-
about people missing other specials? Kids having to give up art in
We
order
were.
to do band?
Let's take a moment here. We all do still have the same goal. All of us want to improve and drive and have our music, band, and orchestra programs specifically thrive. That is the goal that we all want. The difference is whether or not we believe this will improve it or harm it. And we are all talking about something in the future that we do not know how it will happen. We have our guesses, we have our understandings of what we think will happen. I don't think it's a vision thing because we have spent an entire year working on our strategic plan and our priorities. I think it is just an entire different opinion on what the future holds. And that is scary for every single person in this room. Every single one of us is afraid for the future of our band program right now. I see the numbers are low. And I'm not talking the current numbers in 5th and 6th grade. I'm talking your 7th and 8th graders. I'm talking your 9th through 12th graders. Those numbers, when I heard them, were shockingly low compared to how important band and orchestra is to us. If we can have a consistent program where the program is not disrupted, where they can come, they know to bring their instruments, they are bright and cheery, which, by the way, is part of the studies into this, is that the younger kids thrive in the mornings.
But then kids have a choice to come, whether or not they want to come. It's a choice.
But they have a choice to join band.
They have
That's
a choice to join band, but if it's during the school day, they're going to be more likely to commit to it.
And
In the
other-
mornings, they have a choice to
Could I add
not
to
show
that?
up, or if
But
they don't have
I
parents
would
who are
like to-
advocating for them
I would
to
like
go
to
to
finish what I was
school.
saying.
I would like to as well. I've been interrupted as well.
The band program right now, one of the concerns they have is that students forget their instruments because they don't remember what day they have 5th and 6th grade band, and so they don't bring their instrument and then they cannot participate. One of the positives of having it in the morning is that by knowing you are going early for a band, you are less likely to forget that instrument.
That's going to happen.
It's gonna happen no matter what, in any case. It
But we talk a
decreases
lot
the
too
teach.
about, people's positions and their roles, but when our band and, orchestra and our music educators come to us and tell us not to do this, I don't understand why we're not taking that in consideration. They are the ones who come every day and
Exactly.
do the work.
And I will say that is
They
a
do
point,
the
yes.
work.
I think both of these points are very valid, that we need to hear from the parents impacted, and we need to hear from our instructors a little bit more, and I'm willing to talk to them and see what we need to do to make it work. I don't personally think we can change the schedules. That is a massive amount of work that Meredith and Carol
We've
and their
said
teams
we've
have done.
appreciated
That
the
is-
work that they've put in. We've
Yep.
appreciated that. We
But
do.
to redo it would be massive.
But still possible. I mean, you sit down on a team, you've used this as a guiding
We will
principle.
have to
Try not
decide.
to move the high school schedule around.
We
and
would
then
have
try
to
and figure out how to
decide.
make it work, and there's been staffing decisions that have already been made, and a new special that's been added. And I know those things make things complicated, but those are the kinds of things that we can give guidance on as a board in a very clear way. If we continue with this will be the kind of thing we're hearing about for years, because it will drive our band program into the ground. Even from just doing it for 1 year, it's gonna have an effect for a very long time. So this isn't something that I think we can just kick down the road. Maybe it should have been addressed a month ago before the decisions were already made, but it's still a bad decision, and that's why I wrote the resolution that I did right.
Well,
We would have to
yeah,
decide. Yeah, we would have to decide a priority would have to go. What are we going to tell your team to take off their list of
That's-
things to prioritize?
That is Laurie's decision. This is
That's
something.
our decision.
Yeah,
That
but-
is
That's our decision.
No,
No,
this
that's
is-
our
we are
That's
giving-
ours.
This is the guiding principle, here it is, make it work, and then that is. and
No,
then
what
that's the
she
superintendent's
deprioritizes is our
That's our
decision.
decision.
Deprioritizes?
If Lori and her team have to deprioritize something to do this massive amount of work, our decision as a board is to tell them what that is.
We can give a guiding principle, and she can make that decision with her discretion.
But then when we do her evaluation,
Yes.
if she didn't do what we thought was what she should have been working on, then that negatively impacts her.
Well, the guiding principle is.
If we're going to do this, we should have enough to tell Lori, don't work on this to fix this band thing.
I would
No,
like-
there's no, we cannot
So,
take away all the work that she's done, tell her to do a lot more work.
We do that all the
But-
time.
This is bigger than anything it's
been.
been. This is big, but we've also told her what not to work on.
I would like to propose.
Can I say one other thing?
I think we
Yeah.
need to wrap this
If we
up.
kick this off a week, and the last day of school is the 30th, it will be too late, and we will hear that it is further down the road. Teachers want to know their schedules before they leave. There is a week, there is time to fix things before teachers go away. If we wait, it will not be changed.
Is a week enough time for you to
Not with
make a change?
end of the year stuff and graduation.
Then
This
maybe
is
a
not-
week after school, but if we go into the
Not
summer,
when
we're
we
gonna
fix
hear
it.
that this is already a decision that's made, more balls will start rolling, and it will be far too late. Right now, it's not too late. We can give this as a guiding principle, here, make this work, because this is part of who we are as Finneytown, and what we're doing right now is not, even though I don't question the intentions. But this is what I believe needs to happen at a minimum, which is the 2 days a week for 5th and 6th during the
So
school
what
day.
special do you give up?
That's not my decision, that's Laurie's decision.
This is the same thing you're saying. You're telling her to add a special,
So-
but you won't tell her which
Yeah,
one to
we-
take
we-
away.
we
It
do-
doesn't make sense.
We don't need the restorative practices class that's being added. My understanding is there's also a drama class. Those things are not needed.
Drama's not needed?
Those
It's
things
the
are-
arts. It
There's an
includes
arts
dance
program.
performance
But
in
it's a
school.
difference in vision, because this is part of who we are as Finneytown. This is part of our legacy. Those
So
things
this
are
is
not.
about making the band better, right? It's
No,
not
it's
about
about-
getting more kids in the band,
It's
it's
about
about
at
making the
least
band
not
better.
making it worse, because the current proposal will make it worse.
Based on what-
Nostradamus here.
Based on me having gone through band from 5th all the way through 12th grade, all my friends.
Okay, so if that's a metric, then I've gone through band longer.
I was just
I'm
here
just gonna
in
clarify
Finneytown
that.
10 years
Well,
ago.
Hold on. We are discussing, we're not discussing the resolution right now.
Right.
We're discussing, basically, is there a possibility of one more meeting between the principals, school superintendent, the music department, and possibly the FMPA to sit down one more time to find some, either answers to this, to some of them like the retention rate, or some compromise or concessions that can be done.
And I think
So
it'll
I
be too late.
propose, I would like to see my suggestion. We have a discussion and a resolution that we will decide. Instead, let's sit down with those same people, set up the metrics for success. What defines success and what defines emergency? And what are our mitigation plans for if we hit emergency? Objective metrics exist and can be used. I actually have a few ideas, but I'm sure there are others. And then what mitigation plans can we go ahead and set up now for what we can do if we hit that emergency stage? Because this is solid work that has taken hours and hours of time and would take hours and hours of time to undo. Instead, since we don't know the future, we cannot predict exactly how it will go, and there are vastly different opinions on what that will be based on vastly different experiences. Let's set it up to see what success looks like. Let's set it up to discuss what triggers need to happen in order to say, yeah, this is definitely not working, we need something fixed right now.
The trigger is
And then what does
that
it look like?
apparently the band directors are not on board, and that the community is extremely concerned, and if we do not do this now and approve this resolution tonight, it will be too late and it will not happen.
What makes you think that it's too late to make a change or a
It
fix if we don't have a plan?
So,
You
This
just
is
said
a
it was too
minimum.
late, it was so much work.
This is a minimum.
You said
I
it's
thought
already
6
been
days
done,
was
it's
3
hours
days.
and hours of work.
So why can't we make a mitigation plan? Do we have to actually change it? What makes you
This
think
is a
that this is?
guideline of how to plan and change the schedule within this framework, without compromising reading and math instruction or anything else like that. This is a declaration that
I don't
as
think
far
we're
as,
gonna agree, so I think we
Yeah,
need
we
to
need to
kind of
move
wrap
on.
it
So I
up
think
and
we
move on
need
to
to-
the next.
well, at this moment in time, I think the best compromise for the compromise over compromise is who are you saying that will be in this meeting?
I think we can have a few different meetings probably to make sure we get all the opinions, but
And that's
fifth
gonna
and
be
sixth
more
grade
work as
parents.
well. and
That's
it's
gonna be too late.
It's gonna be more work as well.
All right, are we
Some-
doing nothing or are we doing a
No,
lot?
I-
Which way are we going
You gotta
here?
do something.
Okay.
You gotta do something, and if this might be the best option, at least we can sit down and talk. And
Exactly.
maybe we can find a different direction, or maybe we can find some guidelines that we know, some benchmarks that know that will actually work, or benchmarks that know, or even a concession plan that we can go to and say, holy, Hannah, it's not working.
Right.
Or yay, it works.
and I think it'll be too late by
Yeah,
that point.
oh,
but I-
hey, it's working, or holy Hannah, it's not. So, can we have a committee? That's what I'm asking. Can we have another committee, or a committee, or something to have that? I'm asking.
I mean,
Vote on it, or we don't?
not really about 2 board members could call that meeting,
have-
and as long as 3 show up, there's a quorum if it's a board meeting.
We have more discussion on this, so we can eliminate on that through the board coordination. And
Are we moving on to the resolution then?
do you want to move on the
Oh,
resolution right now?
Do we feel that the discussion is, you're in charge of it, sorry.
I mean, anyone can make a motion to do
Okay.
whatever.
Do you guys feel that there's more that needs to be said? My concern, we kick it off, I already said, it won't happen, it'll be too late. This is the chance to change it, and that's why it needs to be approved tonight. And this is, in my opinion, a lenient framework.
I feel if we open up that can of worms, that let's discuss that at a different date, if we open up that can of worms.
It would need to be later this week. in my
I'll
opinion.
come with a resolution for more gym for kids. I'm not kidding. Seriously, if we're gonna
So
start
that's why we
picking
need to
their
pass it tonight,
specials.
because we're gonna lose track of what we're actually talking about in the midst of setting frameworks for success and gym class, which has nothing to do with this.
But it is, it's a special, Eddie. You're determining the specials that kids can take. That's what this does. It has to be 2 a week, so they have to give up 1. Right? There's kids that like sports. There's kids that would love more gym class. I'm sure teachers would like kids if they had another way to burn off energy.
There are children who would love more art.
Yes, and drama and everything, but we're not letting them pick, but we're letting band kids pick extra specials. And is it to make the band better when we get to high school?
It's because.
Right now, it is
one of
less
those
than
things that makes
20% of our
Finneytown
high school
Finneytown.
students. And I get that, and I'm proud of our band, and I love it. But we have a boosters organization that wants our athletic teams to be better as well, which would also bring a sense of pride to the community. We are trying to dictate what Lori's staff has to teach kids to the 40-minute level. And I'm sorry, it's an extracurricular. And again, I love our band. I want to do stuff, but we're hearing things. People tell me we have to trust Lori. We're supposed to trust Lori in making the decisions. That's what we hired her for. And every time I bring something up, that's what I'm told by this board. And now that this is literally telling her to the 40 minutes what has to happen in our schools.
That part could be removed, it could be 30.
Even just
It
other
doesn't- it
things,
doesn't matter.
I mean, it's not just band, we've done that a lot as a board. For many different reasons, we've created more work for her. This is probably something you don't agree with, so you don't see it that way, but we've done that many times.
There's other things that we've, yeah,
There's
I agree.
many
Let's
times.
stay
No, I
on
want our
topic
kids
here.
to get more
Let's make sure we
bands.
stay on topic. I think we're running this to the ground. Okay. Is
Okay.
there anything else on your administration report?
make a motion, we want to add that.
The next item, if there's not a motion, is review of action steps.
Oh, okay.
You can make a motion now if you would like.
No, I mean, I think it's now the appropriate time to probably discuss.
If no motion is made, I will continue to follow the agenda as written, and we do have another discussion for item 8 where I was just going to bring up the meeting. Give us time to cool off, is what I was minded, but.
Well, I like to have a motion. I put a motion in so we can have a meeting with the FMPA and the boosters. The FMPA, the music department, and the principals and the superintendent to either find a compromise, find benchmarks to say this is successful, or holding. I propose that.
Okay, so meeting with FMPA,
FMPA.
principals,
Principals and the superintendent and her,
Super.
whatever, any will she wants to add, and also the music department.
Within what time frame do you think? What's reasonable?
do we need to set a time limit, or can we say before the next regular board
Wait
meeting?
a month,
Well,
it will be too late.
If we can have, if it's possible before our next special, since we've been doing well.
Our next special?
I mean, it would need to,
Possible, is that possible?
it would need to probably be next week.
We don't have that scheduled.
Next week and.
And that's why it needs to be done tonight, which is what I said.
Do we want to propose 2 board members, or do we want the full board? What's the
Two.
I think coordinating 2 board members.
2 board? Okay. So the motion on the table is to establish a meeting with the superintendent, principals, FMPA, music department, and others as needed to meet before the next special meeting that we need to schedule, and include 2 board members to discuss further plans and any changes, compromises, or concerns that need to be addressed.
So 2 board members makes it not a board meeting then, so there won't be
Correct.
minutes. It won't be on the record.
We could also require minutes if,
I'll second that.
okay? Dave, as my parliamentarian, do I need a roll call? Or, okay, let's do it.
Okay. Mr. Reed?
Mr. Reeb?
No.
Ms. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Cloud?
Yes.
Ms. McMullen?
Yes.
Mr. Ray?
Yep.
Motion passes. We will set up that meeting. I will take that follow-up to help set that up. And for the board members to attend, I would like to be one of them.
We're gonna
I
all
don't
wanna
have
be
to.
one, so
Right.
we
Which is
may
why
just
it
need to
should
have
be a board
everybody
meeting.
there.
Well, we don't need.
I don't think that would not be productive.
No, you're the FMPA.
Liaison, yes.
And you're the president.
Us too?
But I know that
Want to seem like I'm going to sound, but I'm going to go with this. What we brought is what our team feels is the best resolution to move forward. So if the board wants us to go in another direction, you're going to have to take that directive.
Which is why.
Because I don't want to move in a different direction, because we did put a lot of time and energy and conversation into this as the best possible next solution. So I'm just thinking of a lot of people's time and
I
schedules.
appreciate you being clear.
And so I just feel like in terms of how we're gonna show up and what we would propose, it's gonna be the same,
Yeah.
based on the things that I shared.
I think
appreciate
the
your understanding
conversation
about
is warranted in some fashion at this point.
What would you say, conversation?
Is warranted. So as far as board members, who will it be? You and I?
That seems logical.
Okay. I will also make the note, we are saying before the next special meeting, which we have not scheduled, and as it is the end of May and end of school, even if we are available, the people on this list may not be. So the timing may have to be a little bit more fluid. Okay, moving on to item 7, review of action steps from last month. Number 1 was revisit staff survey planning as part of the strategic plan second draft review discussions. That was done with board members and Dr. Banks. We had a pretty thorough discussion, and I think we're pretty solid on that.
Yeah, and we brought it up with when we met with the union.
Yes.
so.
Great, okay. Notify Ms. Lee of any weekends you are unavailable for a July board retreat. I do not have all of them.
Yeah, I may not be
Okay.
available in July for a board retreat. If I'm being honest, we've done board retreats in the past. I don't feel like it brought our team together. So I wish not to participate this time.
Okay? Seth, you emailed me yours, right?
I emailed you yours, and then you got me emailed recently.
Yes, I have yours.
Holy cow, one day.
I emailed mine, but I kind of agree with Jalecia to an extent, except I do think that if we're gonna use the time, I do think that there does need to be a vision conversation, so that's, I don't really see any other reason to have a board retreat other than that.
Vision for what?
Vision, what are our priorities as a district? Because we need to clearly communicate that with our administrators so that they can make decisions in the future that
Or
are in line with
goals,
those
what we
priorities.
plan to
Because I know what I
accomplish.
think, but I'm not sure we know what we as a board think.
Well, then goals
Part
and
of
their
the,
strategic plan.
part of the retreat is already planned to go over the strategic plan in more detail and what that means for the district and implementation.
But music prioritization is not on that, which is what kind of my concern there, or if you have to choose, what's first on the chopping block? What are the priorities if you have to make a decision? Anyway, so.
Eddie, I believe extracurriculars are on there, so we could
Okay.
make that as a goal within the strategic plan. So I do, as the rookie on the group, I do think it'd be best that all five of us show up, especially since we're passionate about certain programs. But extracurriculars are on there, so we can help make sure that we are, all five of us are on the same page.
I mean, it is a meeting called, I will be there, but I'm just saying, I would like to be efficient.
I think the last one went well. We did what we said we were going to do, so. I can't make the first 2 weekends.
Can you send me the first 2 weekends you said?
Cannot make
Thank you.
out of the country.
Okay. Thank you.
I think for action step number 3, I'm still trying to wrap my mind about that because the last 2.5 years, Tony and I were the ones who put together the staff appreciation. I'm not sure why, like, did you reach out to the PTA about dates and times?
I didn't get a chance to.
Because I did all of that. And I want to say and put this on the record, I did plan a staff appreciation lunch, and it was shut down because it didn't fit into the description that the board had decided. I reached out to the PTA and I asked them and coordinated with them, and I had a plan together. We were going to do we're going to have Nick's Barbecue catered for the staff, and I was told not to, so I want to make that clear that I did have something planned for our staff members.
And there was
And
also
it was
discussion
shot
about
down.
free chicken sandwiches that were turned down because of board members' opinions about
Yes.
Yep.
Christian chicken sandwiches.
And
Yes.
I didn't use those terms, Eddie,
Please,
but
let's keep
we
it
came out of
respectful.
that meeting with the decision that breakfast was what was going to be served to the staff.
But
and there
when
was
did it
going to
ever
be
matter the
there was
last
gonna be
2.5
two
years?
board
It never
members.
mattered to you, Jamie. It didn't.
It did. We've
I-
had several
No, I
conversations
wanted
on this
something
every year.
bigger than a cart.
Yes.
That's what I wanted.
You reminded me very well, since I
Regardless.
didn't approve paid parental leave, that,
Okay,
yeah.
let's
that
stay
was one
on
of the
topic,
things that-
please. Regardless, yes, that was turned down because the board as a whole had a very thorough discussion regarding what we wanted to do,
So
and
because it
lunch
wasn't a
was
breakfast, it
not.
wasn't okay?
You
Yes, we
changed the
actually, as a
time.
board, agreed that lunch was not what we wanted to do.
Why was it not what you wanted to do?
We already had that discussion in the last board meeting, because we could not be there to serve our staff. It was part of the last board meeting.
Okay.
We decided to do breakfast so that we could attend. The compromise
You
being.
said you weren't able to attend anyway, though, Lindsay. To be
No.
fair, you said you weren't able to attend.
I thought
At
Lynn-
lunch. I cannot attend the lunch.
Jennings, I thought you said you couldn't, but we're not gonna.
I said it would be a struggle.
Let's move on.
Regardless, the compromise on that item, and I will say that I was planning to coordinate the dates and times. However, I did not get a chance to do it because it was already done prior. In the meantime, what the compromise was, and what Lori and I both agreed would be a great idea, is if the board can attend the last day for the teaching staff, or all staff, after students are out, we will serve the breakfast that is already in place and planned for the staff. That Friday, oh, you're gonna have to remind me the date.
Seems like-
31st.
I will just say, every time I propose to do this, I've had very little engagement and feedback. Tony was the only person who was even remotely interested in doing
I
this, because it wasn't.
I would have come, but
I know,
can't.
but it wasn't to the board's likings, and it wasn't something that you would typically do, so it was not acknowledged.
I think we are taking things personal that aren't. I disagreed with the cart in general and was not available during the day
But
to do
why was it your decision to decide that?
I
Why was
didn't
it
in
your
the last few
decision?
years.
I
For
don't-
this
I
one,
don't-
this
even
was
for
not my
this one.
decision. This was the board decision to not do lunch. We explicitly had said we did not want to do
I
lunch as
think
a
there are
board.
certain board members who would have appreciated it, but because of the majority, with you two, we didn't do it because you guys.
Two is not a majority.
Well, not a majority, I'm saying because you two did not approve of it in this fashion, we did not have it, is what I'm saying to you.
It had to do with the board as a whole agreeing to do breakfast, not lunch. The board as a whole made that decision, and I could not
I think that's being
ethically go
nitpicky.
back on that.
That's being nitpicky, Lindsay.
I don't think so,
Let's
because I
move
think it was
forward with
very explicit.
Number 4. Okay, we've talked about
Food
that.
and drink
We can
items
move
for
to
staff
number
appreciation
5.
breakfast.
Excuse me.
Provide Sunshine Fund budget information. Thank you,
Provide
Dave.
that information
Yep,
to Alicia. I don't know if everybody got it. It was $800.
thank you. Provide backup for extended care program cost increase and billing procedures. We discussed that in our special meeting. That is complete. And schedule and post a May 6, 2024 special meeting agenda to include the following discussion topics. That is also complete. Okay. Moving on to item 8. I believe we have already done this one, but I will open it back up if needed. Discussion on 5th and 6th grade band orchestra. Any further discussion needed? All right. Moving on to item 9, agenda item is to adoption of a resolution, board resolution requiring that elementary school band and orchestra classes be held during the school day. I will need a motion for that.
I'll move.
Second.
So there had to be a motion and a second in order for me to be able to read it in the meeting, by the way. But, so the resolution that I've written is, I'll read it aloud. So, whereas education in music is essential, there's a slight typo there, it should say is essential for elementary school students, fostering holistic development and positively impacting academic performance in all subject areas. Whereas providing elementary school band and orchestra classes within the school day facilitates accessibility and equitable participation for all students and minimizes logistical challenges for parents. Whereas the dedication and efforts of our music parents and staff in the school district and the steadfast support of community members and alumni are recognized and appreciated by the Finneytown Board of Education. Whereas prioritizing the arts, including music programs, is an integral part of the overarching vision of the Finneytown Board of Education for the school district. Now therefore be it resolved that for the 2024 to 25 school year and continuing thereafter, the board hereby directs the superintendent to implement a course of instruction which includes 5th grade band, 6th grade band, 5th grade orchestra, 6th grade orchestra, and 6th grade orchestra established as separate classes, meeting no less than 2 days a week during regular school hours, with each session lasting a minimum of 40 minutes.
Any discussion?
We are able to make amendments to this and then vote on those amendments and still pass the resolution as amended.
This is opening a can of worms. I wish to table this conversation for another time. But this definitely opens up a can of worms that we need to see if we really want to do. So I motion to kick the can.
Can it be represented if
Yes.
it is voted down today?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, if it was a special meeting, it would need to be on the agenda for the special meeting. I'm not quite sure how that works if some people didn't want it on the agenda at a special meeting. Because if there are additions and approvals, no, there's not.
There is
on the
no
agenda.
additions and
So
approvals
it
for that
wouldn't really be able to
meeting
be on a special meeting agenda if.
unless we didn't, if we agreed ahead of time that we wanted
Unless
to
there
have
was
it
an
on there, it's
agreement, and
fine.
I asked for this to be on the agenda before the meeting, and it was not on the agenda, so I don't trust that it would make it onto the agenda in a special meeting, unless the special meeting had 5th and 6th grade band discussion in the topic.
I would like to clarify that you get the agenda as a draft ahead of time so that we can make edits prior to the agenda being published.
But there's never been not to my knowledge, there's been a resolution that wasn't included on the agenda despite someone asking for it. And the superintendent
There
and
has.
board president.
Actually, there has.
Okay, superintendent and board president are on the agenda up until the meeting, and then there's revisions that can be made. So I just would be concerned whether this would make it onto the agenda and whether there actually would be that special, because we're gonna have a special meeting, but it's not even a meeting, it's just it's an informal, it's a discussion with two board, it's kind of like a committee meeting essentially. So, but there'd have to be a meeting that would be called, and I couldn't guarantee that this would be on the special meeting agenda. I'd have to ask about that. If I had 3 board members that wanted it, maybe it could be. I imagine so.
Any further discussion? All right, may I have a roll call vote?
Was there a second on the motion?
Yes, that's seconded.
Who seconded it?
I thought, Seth, you
I seconded it before,
Changed
but
to it.
I seconded it before discussion.
did,
Are
Okay.
we
Yeah,
voting for discussion or are we voting?
No,
We're voting to
we're
open
voting
it.
whether or not we want to pass this resolution.
Now that's what we're voting on.
That's what we're voting
So
on.
because there was a motion and second,
Yeah.
there will be a vote regardless of whether it passes. You don't have to vote.
Go ahead.
Roll call.
Ms. Lee,
No.
Mr. Plow,
No.
Ms. McMullen,
No.
Mr. Ray,
Nope.
Mr. Reed.
Yes.
Item fails. Moving on to item 9, board coordination matters.
Public address.
Hmm?
Only a public address before that.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, there is, the agenda changed, sorry. Public address. All right, we will start with, let's just pick one here. Mr. Michael Hamill, before you come up though, let me read the instructions and the rules. The board believes it is in its best interest and the best interest of the students of the district to hear comments from members of the public. It has been, therefore, a long-standing practice of the board to encourage and allow residents to speak at the public meeting. This may be done by completing the bottom portion of this form and giving it to the board president prior to the board meeting. The following guidelines ensure that anyone interested in addressing the board may do so, and that board conducts the business of the school district in an effective and efficient manner. Number 1, attendees must register their intent to participate in the public participation portion of the meeting upon their arrival at the meeting by completing this form and returning it to the board president or presiding officer. Number 2, each speaker is limited to 5 minutes. Number 3, for the public record, each speaker addressing the board must state their name, address, and group affiliation if and when appropriate. Any material or handouts must be presented to the treasurer for record. Number 4, the naming of individuals, profanity, abusive language, and speeches that invade individual privacies will not be tolerated or permitted. Number 5, the board will take no action regarding matters or issues presented through public address in the meeting in which the public address was made. All necessary follow-ups will be made verbally or in writing at a later date. All right.
Is everybody speaking?
Yes.
Good evening, my name is Michael Hamill. I live at 8532 Brent Drive, and I just have no group affiliation except for a parent and a taxpayer, and a parent and a student here. My concern is, at last month's meeting, I was shocked but not at all surprised by the presentation that was given, which finally openly admitted that this district is being governed by the principles and agenda of the diversity, inclusion, and equity. Let me tell you what DI is going to get us. DI is going to get us people being placed into and awarded positions of rank, authority, command, professionalism, without having to do the work to get there. This is already today's society, already happening here. DI is going to give us people who are not fully vetted nor qualified for jobs and careers for which some cheated their way into, but they are protégés of DIE. My proof of that is recently 2 very supposedly qualified and respected Ivy League presidents from Harvard and University of Pennsylvania who were fired from their positions because of plagiarizing material that they had professionally written and had published. Protégés of DIE. Major corporations here in the U.S. are allowing DIE to be their bottom line for hiring and for placement, even though some people who are stepping into those positions don't hold the qualifications nor seniority, let alone the expertise in the field they are representing to be adequately prepared for the rigors of those positions. But they too are protégés of DIE. Our military is collapsing upon itself due to the agenda of DIE. We are the least prepared, the least fit, and the least equipped we have ever been, and we are at dangerous levels. But we are all in making sure that the cadets and generals are all proteges of DIE. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if that's okay to call you ladies and gentlemen, but I'm going to do it anyhow. But graduates of DIE curriculum are moving through our elite business schools, prestigious medical schools, renowned schools of math, science, engineering, aviation, being placed in operating rooms and research and development of pharmaceutical companies, college and university professors and directors, even Ivy League presidents. Without the proper education, DIE Emeritus is giving us people in strategic position within Boeing, Lockheed Martin, Airbus, and other aviation industries. And these people are being placed in command of flight decks around the world that haven't accumulated the requisite hours nor experience that it needs to take to move into those sensitive positions in times past. But they are graduates of the DIE curriculum, and they're getting bottom line treatment. Hooray for us. We can finally admit the fact that we will, are, and have been for some time. We are another school that supports and praises success, not by hard work, competition, to be the best of the best. Dedication, along with a little blood, sweat, and tears, and frustration along the way. Hooray that we can now say we are a part of the big picture where kids are rewarded, promoted, prioritized by the color of their skin or their allegiance to the particular underrepresented tribe or tribes, or who are willing to fall prey to the gods of transgenderism and mutilate themselves for entitlement. It is so unfortunate that at one point in time, hard work got you to where you wanted to go. But now it's just being given away, and at what cost? We don't know, but we will be quickly finding out. Shame on us, and shame on you for not standing up and demanding the best from our children,
You have
all
1 minute.
children, regardless of who they are. And whatever happened to, one day, I hope to live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. And while I'm still at it, I have about 40 seconds left. With this new map that's going up here with the schools, I don't know whatever happened in the discussion last month of House Bill 183, but I do remember House Bill 183 coming up and is in the House of Ohio, where they're hoping to have all future bathrooms labeled as boys, girls, men's, women's, ladies, gentlemen. No non-gender neutral bathrooms. That's what I hope to see in this new school that my tax dollars are paying for. Thank you for your time.
I'm sorry, is it Den?
Yes.
Okay, Den?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Den Tenenfeld. I am Finneytown. I am an alumni of Finneytown, going back many, many, many years. I am part of the music program. I am part of the theater program. I was in some of the sports, but I'm from a Finneytown that actually was a big deal. Right now, we only have a small portion of Finneytown left, and that is our music program. As we sat here today, I saw we had some people here that were talking about, how important it is. Well, we all applauded because they had those lovely little things that the parents could take, and one of the things was what? Plenty of sleep. Well, guess what? X period, not going to do it. Not for a 5th grader, not for a 6th grader. It's okay when you get in high school. We're a little bit different. So the theory is flawed. I did have something more to say, and I will actually email that to you later on. Because as I sat here today, and I watched how our board is, I watched how everybody acted. I do see a lot of people that have a lot of care for the district. But I also see people that think that they care, but they don't. The fact that 2 months ago, an email went out to all the parents that asked about changing a mentor group time from the end of the day to the beginning of the day. Because why? We care. But when it's something big like this, it was skirt tail. You're hiding something. There's an agenda. Now, I'm from a time when you had X period in high school. X period orchestra, X period band. I tried out for orchestra. They had to take care of it. A, B schedules. But that was on me as a student, but I was a high schooler. And guess what? Even high schoolers can forget their instruments. Things happen. But choir was during the day. Guess what? We no longer have a choir program. Why? Because we went to a 6 bell. We eliminated 50 kids out of the music program. Congratulations. Theater was always after school. It was an extracurricular after school. And if you were also involved in a sport, guess what? They work together. Guess what? They still do it today. We have our coaches, we have our band directors that work together. Marching band, same way. But guess what? You're eroding it. You're eroding it very quickly. And if you think you're not, you are. You used to have a full orchestra. Luckily, we now have strings still. Strings was an elementary school start in the 4th grade. By the time that you got into junior high, you started getting to go out and play into with the high school. If you were good enough and you were selected and you tried out. Nobody got something for free. But now we have to sit there and kowtow. Now, if we cared so much, why didn't an email go out, I don't know, at the beginning of the school year? This is what we're looking for. We would like to have your opinion. It went out for a mentor group, which, I'm sorry, after seeing some of it, it's useless. It's playtime, it's romper room. It's not educational. Now, we're talking about what you want to hear, what you want to read. Ms. Mullen, I'm going to give these to you. I'm going to trust them with you. I'm sorry?
You have 30 seconds.
Thank you. That is a printout, and everybody, I can give it to you. We can email it to you. It's of all the people that have commented, and I don't care if you're from the district or not. Some of them are alumni that are there because of the music program. But we don't want to talk about that. And somebody doesn't want to go ahead and say, let's talk about this to see if we can come up with a compromise. It's an agenda. A worthless agenda. I thank you for your time. I yield back.
Thank you. Michael. Is
He
Michael
might
still
step
here?
out.
He stepped out? Okay.
If-
Zach.
Hello, my name is Zach Wernan. I'm a recipient of the Penn Memorial Scholarship, graduate of Oberlin Conservatory's class of 2024, and former member of the Akron Symphony Orchestra. But the title I'm most proud of is Finneytown Alum Class of 2020. I participated in marching band for 6 years and orchestra for 8. I'm speaking today to express my opposition to the district's choice to move 5th and 6th grade band and orchestra programs before school. And as someone in the fledgling stages of his career in music, I'll be speaking specifically about the effects that this move has on music programs beyond the elementary and high school levels. Without in-school instruction, I would likely have abandoned music in favor of extracurriculars such as sports or Math Olympiad, and would not have been able to discover my current career and educational hours. As a classical musician, I see up close that my vocation is beyond the curve when it comes to diversity, equity, and inclusion due to the number of unique barriers faced by economically disadvantaged people. In my field, it is commonplace for students to pay more than $50,000 for a good quality instrument, over $100 for one one-hour lesson, and more than $80,000 a year to attend a competitive institution of higher learning. I'm extremely lucky to have been awarded generous scholarship by Oberlin. I'm extremely lucky to have parents that continue to support me financially, and extremely lucky to have found an instrument that performs well compared to those in its price range. I work extremely hard to be competitive in the market that I am in, but none of my success has been possible, without an immense amount of luck. Yet many musicians of a higher caliber than I are not afforded the opportunities I have been afforded simply because of their parents' financial situation and other factors beyond their control. The effects of inequity in music are visible when you go see any orchestra beyond the high school level. My undergraduate alma mater, Oberlin, prides itself on diversity and its progressive legacy, which the student body by and large represents. Yet out of a classical music department with hundreds of people, I can count on one hand the number of black peers I have. My identity as someone who attended Finneytown for 13 years has played a heavy role in how I think about my role in the world. Transitioning from Finneytown to a private PWI along trust fund kids with millionaire parents forced me to see and also to understand the magnitude of injustice that wealth and resource inequity have on students' outcomes in mental health, self-esteem, and educational and career trajectory. Finneytown has impressed upon me the importance of diversity in the workplace and in school, diversity in opinion, and solidarity across economic classes. Finneytown is uniquely positioned to be part of the solution to this epidemic of inequity in the arts, but the proposed course of action represents a crass betrayal of Finneytown's values that I once thought were ironclad. None of our lives are possible without music. It's essential to our TV shows, movies, and is a form of storytelling in itself. Film score composers, amateur singer-songwriters, pop superstars, and symphony orchestra musicians all receive support during school hours from their music programs at school. This district will influence who has a say and who tells society's stories, and whose stories are being told. Do you want the artistic movements of the future to represent the diverse composition of the whole of society, or just a vocal minority of the privileged class? We can choose to tear down these barriers for the children of our community so that they may one day represent us in society's art, but proposed actions threaten to reinforce them.
April.
My name is April Bruner. I live at 95 Springbrook Drive. I had the pleasure of being Zach Warren's one of many jam moms for 5 of his 6 years in marching band. So I need to leave at that. Thank you, Zach. It's obvious I'm here representing FMPA. I have typed out a lot of things. I had the honor of getting a phone call several weeks ago, and I kept them quiet to myself, and I lost a lot of sleep. And I'll go through why. And I'm crying, which I do, even at the commercials, but I'm also really passionate about this. I'm going to read the mission statement, and that's at the crux of why I'm here tonight. Instead of with my youngest son and my husband and the rest of our marching band for my son's first marching band banquet. They've probably eaten. I paid for my meal, could probably have only eaten half of it. I digress, here I am. The purpose of the Finneytown Music Parents Association shall be to support the music education of all students. I'm going to harken back to Zach on that. Within the Finneytown Local School District through fundraising, volunteer efforts, and advocacy, regardless of race, color, creed, sex, or national origin. If it's unclear, it's that advocacy piece that brings me here tonight. I have been a band mom for many years, and that is one of my biggest pride and joys in this district. I do have to be really careful as president. While I love the band, I know that our orchestra has grown and thrived these last couple years under Mr. Geisel's support and dedication. He was a very young teacher, and I have seen him grow. I also want to mention, before I forget, again, the notes that I have, many of the things that I was going to say and have concerns about have been addressed, and I'm not going to belabor some of those points. I know that many of us have those at heart. I'm a kindergarten teacher. For anyone who doesn't know, I really don't like to be in a room with adults. I do my best work on a stage with 5-year-olds and under the lights where I'm forced to speak and can't see all of you sitting in the audience. That's also part of my job. I have 3 children, 2 recent grads, one very successful in my mind and has found a love of theater thanks to the after-school programs and Miss Kim Fain at Whitaker Elementary. That child will always be my child, will be successful because of the experiences, every bit of them here. I've also been a music parent for a solid 17 years. Please tell me now that I don't look like that's possible. And I can't help but add those little bits. I'm going to just go ahead and read my notes. I wonder now, after thinking through some of the safety issues that were addressed, thank you, Dr. Banks, and thank you for all the work that has been done on the scheduling. I know as a teacher it's not easy. It is sometimes impossible. I'm wondering if, in addition to the crossing guard, there will be an earlier time for that school zone light to be flashing. Winton Road is not for the faint of heart. I try to avoid it. I did that just tonight. I think that not having a solid plan, while I absolutely have every bit of faith in Mr. Anderson and the rest of the district that they will do what's best for kids where transportation is concerned, I think it's important to have this solidly determined before making this decision. The response I got when asked for data that shows a benefit to general and instrumental music in the email that I shared with you all this weekend, I was told that it was due to it was because of the choir program. I'm sorry, here are my notes. It was going to increase engagement. It was because the opposite happened when our choir program was moved outside of the school day. We have a choir program, as has already been mentioned. I know it was mentioned that with the petition that some people are out of the district. People move out of our district, people share, and then people are touched by the information. Did you say 1 minute? And that's when they share other important information. We've learned of a district in Pennsylvania who, over the last 20 years, have made cuts similar to this. They have gone at their peak to 100 marching band members, which we are just under, to 35 today. We currently compete on the same stage as Carmel, Indiana. You might want to look them up sometime. Their budget is probably close to what the school district budget is here. I also want to say that it's really important that we have the arts and that we have athletics. Not everyone's an athlete, and I believe our district needs to make sure that we don't pit the two against each other. Very often, they're the same exact people. I don't believe it's worth the risk. There has to be a better way to make this schedule work because I can only think about what happened with our choir programs. Thank you for your time, and I do have that petition. I'm happy to send it electronically to all of you as well. Thank you.
Did Michael come back? Okay. There is one more speaker, but I just realized, please remind, we'll remember, we forgot Stronger Connection, or not Stronger Connections, the, oh, that's in the board coordination, not the admin report. Never mind, we didn't forget it. I didn't miss it. Sorry. Okay, Tammy.
Hi, my name is Tammy Bilkey. I'm the Finneytown Education Association president. I'm just here tonight to reiterate our collective concerns we shared at the March meeting. We feel that despite meeting with district leaders multiple times over the course of the year, regarding these issues, most of them have been generally dismissed as non-issues, some more obviously than others. Consequently, since then, 15 staff members have elected to use the law of 2 feet to dismiss themselves from our district through resignations or retirements, some of which were early. We must reflect as a district on how to move forward to reduce these departures. They may be happening to some other districts, but it shouldn't be happening here to the level that it is. Our students deserve continuity of services, stability in their classrooms, high expectations, and equal access to a well-rounded education. Thank you.
Before we move on to number 9, I do want to say that it is very obvious that every single person in this room and those watching really care about our students. It's very obvious, and I think most of us care for the same objectives. So I do want to say that I appreciate that. And I appreciate each and every one of you for being here, advocating for what you think is right for our students. Thank you. Moving on to item 9, board coordination. Let's go ahead and start with Scott. That way I don't forget. This is acknowledging the district committee report from Beyond Differences Finneytown.
All right, thank you, Lindsay. Scott Meyer, I'm one of the 2 co-chairs with Beyond Differences Finneytown. That was created last year. This current year, we started last year with the mission to facilitate dialogue and conversation within our diverse communities and to better understand our needs and opportunities around diversity, equity, and inclusion. We thought that a good way to start out would be with a survey. We reached over 300 community members and got a lot of great feedback from teachers, parents, community members, students. We were able to share that data with the board and the administration as they developed their strategic plan. We started having committee meetings this year. We have about 80 people that are on our email list, and we have had a lot of very productive meetings with conversations around issues and how we can go about supporting the school as a whole. We've had tables at the open houses, the Black History Month, World Culture Night, so we've really tried to spread the word. We welcome anybody else who wants to be a part of the group. One thing that we're set as a goal for next year is to start leading some events. The first event that we decided on was the Homecoming Tailgate as a way to just to bring the community together, to bring all the different organizations together, the FMPA, the FAA, all the different groups within the school. That was something that I have run the past 2 years as the PTA vice president. We have run that sort of the secondary and the elementary PTA. They both have had difficulties finding volunteers to run different things, so we reached out to both of those and just sort of threw it at them and said, you know, do you think Beyond Differences would be a good fit for it? They both agreed that it was something that the secondary PTA, who sort of did lead the event and funded it, didn't have anybody to run it going into next year. So we brought it up at the meeting that we had this week, and our committee thought that it would be a great idea. So that's September 27th coming up in the fall. So we're hoping that that can be something that, just like in years past, we've had, you know, food trucks, a lot of different community organizations come out, and it's just a really great event as we're celebrating our athletes and our band at the homecoming event, and also just to be able to incorporate other tables and activities that are related to our efforts. The second event that we're hoping to plan next year will be around restorative practices. We thought January will be a good time for that. It will give us more time to work with the administration, the board, the staff, the leaders of that initiative at the high school and the elementary level, so that we can create an event that celebrates what we're doing as a district as with respect to those, but also educates the public about it, because it is something that a lot of people expressed in the surveys not a full understanding of. And that's sort of, you know, what we see that we can do as a group, is to celebrate things that we're doing great, to educate everybody involved, and to empower particularly the marginalized groups along the way. We also, like I said with the survey, have taken a lot of the feedback, the thoughts, the ideas, the criticisms, and have been able to channel that through the survey and through anonymous conversations, some not, some, but be able to share that with the board and the administration. So I think that's really been effective. And the last event is hopefully going to be at the end of the year, and it'll be a celebration of the Nepali and Bhutanese population within our district and the culture as a whole. So we're excited about those three main events. We're not going to certainly limit ourselves to those. like a lot of the organizations in the district, finding, we have a ton of passionate people in the community, but we're all short on time, so we don't want to overcommit to more than we feel that we can do and do a very good job at. But those 3 events are 3 that we're confident, and we're going to thank the board and the administration for your support this year. We really are, see ourselves, Kelly and I as co-chairs. Really, it's just facilitators. We're trying to reach out to the community and take their input and sort of channel that and work with you guys to see how we can make improvements through the district. So we don't really see ourselves as leaders of the group like some groups would have a president or something that would make, have the authority to make those bigger decisions. We're really trying to represent all of the diverse groups within our community. So I want to thank you guys for your support, particularly Jaleesa and Seth as well for coming to all of our meetings. It's really great while we're having these discussions to have you guys right there, and really do appreciate it.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
And that tailgate, you said September 27th?
Yes, I think, pretty sure. That's what,
Thank you.
yes.
Okay. Board coordination? Does anyone want to go first?
Okay.
Okay.
All right, I will start with the primary PTA. They're going to be giving out scholarships to 2 students for academics, so congratulations to those students. I don't have the names, but congratulations to them. The dance program had their annual dance recital, which was a huge success. We want to thank Brooke Woods and her team for another successful recital. Our boys and girls really love that program. Vicki Sweeney will come on as the president, Heather Love, vice president, Brian Holland, treasurer, Emily Firthmiller, secretary, and Emily Firthmiller is, I forget the title, membership, yes. And then, yes, and then Emily Campbell as secretary. Thank you each of you for stepping up and serving our community. All of the positions are volunteer. Let's keep that in mind. People work for free for these positions, so kudos to all of them. Come back for the 2nd year as president. Kathy Forte, vice president. Jesse Stegman, treasurer. Secretary, they're still looking to fill that position, so if you know anybody who's interested or if you'd like to do that, reach out to Miriam. And then for memberships, Nancy Natalie. So kudos to all of them. After prom went really well. The way the school transformed was super amazing. I just want to thank all the staff and the community members who came out and stepped up. It was truly heartwarming. It was really great to see. I know there's a lot of work that goes into that, so. We touched on staff appreciation. It went really well. Both PTAs did an amazing job schooling our wonderful staff and honoring them for everything that they do. I just want to say thank you to all of our teachers and our staff for everything that they do, the way they show up for our students, and I'm personally very grateful and thankful for everybody who walks through those doors. Shifting gears to FMPA, they had their spaghetti dinner, which was amazing. It was a great turnout, great vibes. I won a fancy crock pot, which was cool from one of the raffles. So it was really exciting to see everybody come together for that event as well. They also had their 3rd annual golf outing, which I didn't get a chance to attend this year, but I'm sure it was very successful. It was a beautiful weekend for it. So FMPA is also hosting an old uniform sale. You can purchase uniforms that can be repurposed into handbags and pillows. They were very, very cool to see. So if you're interested in that, reach out to April Bruder. It'd be a nice way to preserve your old band uniforms. There was a lot of concerts that went on. It was just awesome to see. The students did great. Our music educators did great leading. It was amazing to see. So, also we have a concert coming up for our elementary students that will take place tomorrow at this campus here at 7 o'clock. Also, Ms. Fields recently took her voices group, Voices of Harmony, students to Florence, y'all, where they performed the national anthem, which was incredible, I heard. So we appreciate all of the love and support that Ms. Fields gives on a daily basis to our students. So kudos to her. I also wanted to shout out our art educators. I don't know if you guys had a chance to look at the art media and the gallery. The artwork was exceptional. So there's been circulating pictures of all over Facebook, so if you didn't get a chance to check those out, make sure you do. Seth and I attended the OSBA Leadership Institute earlier this month. It was one of the best conferences I've been to. They touched a lot on just equitability for all of our students. And it was just nice to see the shift in the conversations at the table, to have a more inclusive climate culture, as well as teaching practices that need to shift to be inclusive to all students. So that was really great to attend, and it was nice having sat there. OSBA Student Achievement Fair, they're looking for groups to perform at Capitol Conference, which will take place on November 11th from 10 to 2. The deadline for those nominations are May 29th. So if you have an a cappella group, any band, orchestra, ensembles, cheerleaders, dances, are welcome to submit those nominations. So, I also want to shout out FAA Cookout. That was incredible yesterday. It was a lot of fun. Well-attended event. We really, truly appreciate our athletic association for putting all the teams together, getting uniforms together. It is a lot of work, and that is also volunteer. So kudos to all of those people who have been stepping up. Some upcoming events. I know Laurie touched on the PBL Showcase. That's going to take place Tuesday, May 22nd. I'm excited about it. I know our PBL facilitators put a lot of work into it, as well as our staff members and our students, and it was a heck of a time last year. So if you can, come out. If you can't, make sure you live stream it. Also, May 23rd from 5 to 6:30, a Right to Read workshop will take place here in the Media Center here. They will provide dinner, as well as take-home books and information and resources for you to help your student with reading. Also, there is a new federal program that aims to ensure resources for our families who are less fortunate. It's called the EBT Summer Program, and this will allot families $120 for the summer. I know it's not much, but it will help fill some of those gaps for students who are lacking food. So, and that can be taken advantage of from ages 6 to 18. So, and I know the library also offers free meals for students as well. So, and that is my report.
Well, you run hard, you cross off a lot of my stuff I was going to say. So beyond differences, which already been mentioned, the FAA picnics, Chris did and his team did a great job. If you had, I saw a few teachers there, if you had attended, with Miss Kayla and her Voices of Unity showed up to the thing, you would have just been very proud of Finneytown showing and spot on and following directions and doing a great job. As well, the Alumni Network, as was said earlier too, keep August 30th a heads up because they're going to do a lot of alumni. There is a Finneytown.
World Culture Night was great. Jalecia, the corned beef and cabbage was awesome. But the whole night was just that at the elementary school. It's such a great event. If anyone hasn't been to it, I would recommend next year attending. The kids showing off their culture and representing where they come from is fantastic to see. So I love going to that, and the Canadian table had ketchup potato chips that would gross out most people, but I love them. Lori, graduation, 120, is that more than last year?
It's a larger class.
Okay.
But, yeah.
The largest we've had in a long time.
This is big. So I'm looking forward to attending graduation. So that's about it for me. So.
Is it? Wait, our class this year is 90.
90?
Yes.
I did the bad math then. 90. A little smaller than last year.
I
I
had
thought-
to think.
I did bad math.
There'll be a larger class coming up.
I was going to say,
90.
hoping it's taller.
Yeah.
Huh?
90, okay. Well,
We have some still trying to finish. So.
Okay, I'll make my coordination brief. So I wanted to cover a couple things from past Frankfort Township Board trustees meetings. Maybe some of you guys have noticed the weird black cameras that are around on different intersections. It took me a little while to even figure out what they are, but they're flock cameras, so they're license plate readers. The police chief addressed that at the March meeting, and they just look for license plates and see if there's a warrant out connected to that license plate. But I think there's 30 all over the township, all over. So you see them anyway, but there's other places that have them too. I think Westchester introduced them. In the March meeting, the township administrator revealed that, shared that the fire department is going to need to pass a levy this year, or else the funds will run out by 2026. The last fire levy was 2020. Township in the March meeting did mention that they were going to start using body cameras at the end of April, so I assume that they're now in use, and the policy was passed on guidelines for how to maintain those records. On the April 9th meeting, the new police chief was sworn in, Chief Chris Niehaus, and then in the meeting earlier this month, there was a further discussion about the road projects. There's 15 or 16 streets that are being repaved, a lot of them in the Brentwood neighborhood and Pleasant Run Farms. Most of that, it's a $5 million project. Most of that is a grant, $1.2 million from township local dollars. If you've been back in the Brentwood neighborhood, that will continue through the summer. Surface course will be finished by late September, early October. There'll be a long process for curbs to be done. They'll be starting in Brentwood probably in the next few weeks. So that entire project will not be over until end of September. Also, there's township spending $200,000 on park improvements. Several parks are receiving playground equipment. I do not know if order is, but I assume not. The outdoor puppet show will be at June 7th from noon to 2. It's called Puppets for Lunch. And then Touch a Truck is on June 14th. That's it.
Thank you. There is one third item on here, schedule records commission meeting date and time.
It's required once a year, and it's proposed that the board president, superintendent, treasurer. These are short meetings. And, do need to get on the calendar.
Do we have a deadline that we have to have it done by?
June 30th.
June 30th.
That's the time.
Okay. Do we want to just discuss it at the next Friday meeting and find a time in the interest of giving this short?
Appropriate.
Thank you. Okay.
Can I move
That
for
can be
a
an action
3-minute
item.
Can I move for a 3-minute recess before we move on to item 10?
Sure. Do we have a second?
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, we are adjourned for 3 minutes. We will return at 8:43.
Who would second that?
Seth seconded. Okay, we are back in session.
9:46.
Yep,
8:46.
8:46. Okay, I believe that was everything for board coordination. So moving on to item 10, financial matters. Item 10.1 is the adoption of the consent calendar. Do I have a motion? Seth, motion?
I'll second.
Jalicia, second. All right, Mr. Oliverio.
Okay, first item is the monthly financial report. The general fund revenue for the month of April was $956,619. We have expenditures in April of $1,735,774. The cash balance in the general fund at the end of April was $16,548,767. Item B, depository investment balances as of April 30th, 2024. U.S. Bank, $580,374. U.S. Bank Construction Fund, $3,679,507. Star Ohio main account, $24,925,375. Star Ohio Construction 2, $3,261,626. Star Ohio Construction number 1, $1,180,588. North Star Ohio for state share, $1,070,737. Item C, interest earned on depository investment accounts for April. We had interest income in the general fund of $114,471.82. And then our construction funds, $19,887.12. Item D is the monthly bond project spending and commitment report. Again, I've got the two packages broken out. No progress, no movement on phase 1, but phase 2, our total spending at this point comes in at $841,727. Those are almost exclusively design firm expenditures. For both phases, we've expended $24,590,966 since its inception. And in Table 2, you'll see that we have $26,683,215 in purchase orders that we've created mainly for phase 2 work.
Mr. Rivera, if I may ask, the revenue for April, the second page?
Are we talking about the general fund report?
Yes.
Or the general fund report? Okay.
So we're $500,000 behind of budget, right? If I'm looking at that correctly?
Are you looking at the monthly actual column?
I'm looking at monthly actual, I'm looking at your estimated monthly and looking at your actual monthly, and then I'm also looking at the operating surplus. So I'm looking at 1.07 total revenue, and I'm also looking at 6.010. So
I think what you find is a little bit of timing from month to month. The county auditor was slow in getting us money this year, this half year, and we have some homestead rollback, which normally we receive by now, but I've received it in May, so that'll show up next month. So
okay.
Overall, we think we're performing favorably. Our revenues are well in excess of our expenditures. In fact, probably next month I'd like to bring to the board a recommendation to use some surplus money for our master plan. We've got huge inflationary costs that we're dealing with. And I really think that it's probably a good thing for the board to consider. We don't want to find ourselves in a situation where things come to a halt once the secondary campus is finished.
That's good. Just don't hit the panic button yet.
Just don't hit the panic
What kind of
button.
amount, we're talking millions,
For what?
for setting aside funds?
I think that, yes, if we all are in agreement, yes, I think millions.
I didn't hear the question.
He was asking how much to set aside from the general fund for, we would put it into a 070 account, which is a capital projects account.
Right.
That money could be returned if it's not needed,
Okay.
but I think it's pretty clear, we're going to need it.
Right.
So you're wanting to transfer some money for like a cushion, or is that what you're proposing?
Right, from our surplus, yeah. And that's the amount of revenues that exceeded the expenditures for this year. Okay, any other questions about that? Okay, item E is a recommendation to approve 2 invoices as listed. And that's all I have in 10.1.
Do we have a date for when we expect phase 1 to be complete yet, as far as the financials?
The holdup on phase 1 is some HVAC non-performance.
Yeah.
And, my understanding is that we're getting close to where we want to be. And so I think that hopefully in the next 3 months, we're able to wrap this project.
Okay. Any further questions or discussion? All right. May I have a roll call vote?
Mr. Plow?
Yes.
Ms. McMullen?
Yes.
Mr. Ray?
Yep.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Ms. Lee?
Yes. Item passes. Moving on to 10.2, approval of a resolution. Resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I will second.
Okay, this is a typical process we go through at this time of the year. What we do with the tax budget is we provide information to the Hamilton County Budget Commission to basically justify the amounts that have been approved by voters over time. And what they've done is they have basically certified our continued need for that. There are a couple things that did happen this year that are a little different. I've talked about how values went up in the district, and so there was a rollback of some outside millage, so that took place. But we did end up collecting additional money in our general fund as a result of that because of the inside millage, which doesn't get reduced. And so that's taken place. Basically, it resulted in about an extra $800,000 for our general fund in revenue. About $537,000 of that is money that comes from residential taxpayers. When you look at the number of homes in Finneytown, it probably amounts on average to about $25 per taxpayer. So it's not too drastic. The bond millage was rolled back because we've got some debt service that's just paid for. It's just rolling off the books, and so that millage was reduced by 3.55 mils. And so again, what we're talking about is not this year, but our next year. And this is a calendar year thing, so what happened January 2025. You will see it lowered again, and it was lowered this year. So our debt is being paid off, and taxes are going down with respect to it. So I do recommend approval of this.
Do we have any questions, any discussion? Okay, can I have a roll call vote?
Ms. McMullen?
Yes.
Mr. Ray?
Yep.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Ms. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Plow?
Yes.
Item passes. All right. Moving on to item 11, the superintendent's recommendations. First item on the list is the adoption of the consent calendar. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay.
All right, so item A is resignations and retirements. Item B is approval of contracts, 1-year limited, certified. I will point out some of those are, as we discussed, a transition from purchase services through Hamilton County ESC to us hiring staff directly, the speech language pathologist and the school psychologist. Item C, approval of contracts, 1-year limited, certified.
Lori, really quickly on that, do
Yeah.
we not have any 3-year contracts, or do we not, didn't we used to have teachers with 3 years, or?
Continuing and then the 1-year
Okay.
limited.
Since we're at a standstill, I'm surprised of the intervention specialist, the amount of leaving. Is that concerning?
It's typically between the two campuses, that's one of the areas we have the hardest retention. And that is not necessarily unique to us. I think this year at Finneytown Elementary, we had to transfer one of our personnel from secondary campus to the elementary because we had one unfilled position. And even with that transfer, the needs were high and complex. And so I think a lot, not all, but some were newer teachers as well. And so I think it was a hard year. And I think a lot of our intervention specialists felt that. So I think that is part of what we're seeing.
Is there anything we can do to repair retention, or is there anything to do on?
We are, as every year, we're looking at what we can do differently in terms of retention. We did have higher retention at secondary this year, so we're looking at, is it mentoring, is it support, what could we do? So, but I think in terms of that trend, that is not, unfortunately, not surprising. And if you go to Hamilton County ESC, that's one of the areas that has the largest opportunities right now.
So are there districts that pay intervention specialists more? And I think that would have to be in the union contract, but I was just curious if that's something, I'm sure it's been thought of, and there's a reason not to do it or to do it.
Yeah, we're comparable based on the union with other districts when we renegotiated, like our pay scale, so.
So do they make more than a normal teacher?
No.
Okay.
Item D is approval of retire, rehire. E is 1-year limited contracts for classified. Item F is approval of contracts for 1-year limited classified. G, approval of contracts, 2-year limited classified. H, contracts, 1-year retire, rehire classified.
I'm sorry, that doesn't match what mine is.
Oh,
I think we've added one, because I is that 1-year retirement.
sorry, I was going off of probably the previous one. My apologies.
Sorry.
Nope, you're good. All right, where was I?
G.
G, 1-year limited classified. H, 2-year limited classified. I, 1-year retire, rehire classified. Hold on, say Rachel. Okay. As you can tell, we're deep in the contract and hiring season. J, approval of contracts 1-year retired, rehired classified. K, approval of contracts 1-year retired, rehired classified. L is approval of supplemental contracts. M is approval of pay rates for exempted employees. N is approval of payment for certified staff for summer work. We have summer school at ESY. Item O is our subs. P is bringing to you our class of 2024. Q is the approval of our Hamilton County ESC contract. R is an agreement we have with Butler County ESC for Beckett Springs Partial Hospitalization Program. That's if we need to contract with them for students who have mental health needs or other programming needs. S is approval of a resolution for auxiliary participation, something we do each year. T is our student fees, those remain unchanged from last year.
I think that's it.
That's it.
Back to M, Lori, really quickly, the approval of pay rates for exempt, did those employees get raises for next year?
Yeah, they, all of those reflect a 4% increase.
Any questions or discussion? Okay, can I have a roll call vote?
Mr. Ray?
Yeah.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Ms. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Cloud?
Yes.
Ms. McMullen?
Yes.
Item passes. Item 12, adoption of resolution OHSAA membership. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
I'll second.
I'm sorry, the motion was.
Jaleesa.
Delicia. Is that yours?
Yeah, I mean, yes, I'll take it. It's our annual just renewal
Oh.
of our
I knew that.
partnership and membership in Ohio Athletics.
Any questions, comments, concerns? Okay, do I have a roll call vote? Can I have a roll call vote?
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Ms. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Cloud?
Yes.
Ms. McMullen?
Yes.
Mr. Ray?
Yes.
Item passes. Item 13, approval of administrative contract revisions. Need a motion. Delicia.
I'll second.
Jamie. Okay. Any questions or discussion? Okay, can I have a roll call vote? Or did we have some?
Are we doing?
Are we doing them separately?
Yep.
Yeah.
Ms. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Cloud?
Yes.
Ms. McMullen?
Yes.
Mr. Ray?
Yep.
Mr. Reed?
It's for Dr. Banks, correct?
Yep.
Yes. Item passes. Item 14, approval of administrative contract revisions. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Second.
Discussion? Can I have a roll call vote?
Mr. Cloud?
Yes.
Ms. McMullen?
Yes.
Mr. Ray?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Ms. Lee?
Yes. Item passes. Item 15, approval of administrative contract revisions. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Do I have a second? Any discussion? Can I have a roll call vote?
Ms. McMullen?
Yes.
Mr. Ray?
No.
Mr. Reed?
No.
Ms. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Cloud?
Yes.
Item passes. Item 16, approval of administrative contract revisions. Do I have a motion?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Can I have a roll call vote?
Mr. Ray?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Ms. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Cloud?
Yes.
Ms. McMullen?
Yes.
Item passes. Item 17, approval of administrative contract revisions. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
Discussion? Can I have a roll call vote?
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Ms. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Cloud?
Yes.
Ms. McMullen?
Yes.
Mr. Ray?
Yes.
Item passes. Item 18, approval of administrative contract revisions. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
I'll second.
Discussion? Can I have a roll call vote?
Ms. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Cloud?
Yes.
Ms. McMullen?
Yes.
Mr. Ray?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Item passes. Item 19, approval of administrative contract revisions. Do I have a motion?
I'll second.
Discussion? Can I have a roll call vote?
Mr. Cloud?
Yes.
Ms. McMullen?
Yes.
Mr. Ray?
Nope.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Ms. Lee?
Yes. Item passes. Item 20, approval of administrative contract revisions. Do I have a motion?
I'll second.
Discussion? Can I have a roll?
Which item is this? I lost track.
Sorry, 20.
Okay.
Carol? Can I have a roll call vote?
Ms. McMullen?
Yes.
Mr. Ray?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Ms. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Cloud?
Yes.
Item passes. Item 21, approval of administrative contract revisions. Do I have a motion? I'll second. Discussion?
There's an error in spelling.
Oh, there is. Noted.
Thank you.
Further discussion? Can I have a roll call vote?
Mr. Ray?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Ms. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Cloud?
Yes.
Ms. McMullen?
Yes.
Item passes. Item 22, approval of administrative contract revisions. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Discussion? Can I have a roll call vote?
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Ms. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Cloud?
Yes.
Ms. McMullen?
Yes.
Mr. Ray?
Yes.
Item passes. Review of assignments, item 23. I made a note that we need to schedule the meeting. That was in the board coordination. And I will work with Lori on scheduling and coordinating schedules for the meeting that we motioned for band and choir, or band and orchestra.
Do we already have a special
Are we
meeting
going to
scheduled?
schedule our special?
And we need to schedule our special meeting, which is not on here for us
I
to discuss.
motion to approve.
Huh?
I motion to approve.
All right.
Are we gonna schedule it now? Sorry.
Yeah. The week of the 3rd is a middle ground. I don't know when vacations are starting for any of you, but Monday and Thursday are the only days I don't have anything, or I have something.
And we're thinking this week?
The June 3rd week for our special in-between meeting.
Because our next regular meeting is June 17th. So
Yes.
it'll be in the middle of this meeting and that meeting.
Can't do Wednesdays. I'm not a big fan of Fridays, but
Wednesday the 5th?
I cannot do Wednesday.
You cannot do
Not do
Wednesday.
Wednesday. I'm not a big fan of Fridays, but
Can I propose the 4th? Jamie's good? Anyone else? 6?
earlier the better, in my opinion. But
He is approved.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Yeah, I always make it work, so.
Okay. Okay, so special meeting will be June 4th. Yep, June 4th, 6 PM here.
And is this something we're gonna continue throughout the summer, or?
I imagine the one in July will be the retreat. But that's just what I think we had said in January.
Yeah, we would take July
Yeah.
and August off from those.
Yep. Okay. All right, any other assignments? One thing that I do want to note is I briefly mentioned it earlier, but we were planning for the last day for staff, if board members are available to come serve breakfast that morning. I plan on being there, if any of you want to attend as well.
And that's the
Please feel free.
31st, Lori?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll be there.
Yes.
I'll get back to you, but I should be able to make
And we will be having those the staff exit surveys.
They've already gone out.
Okay, great.
Okay, any other assignments? Moving on to item 24, announcements. The next regular board meeting of the Finneytown Board of Education will take place on Tuesday, June 17th, Brent Board Office Meeting Room, 8791 Brent Drive, Cincinnati, Ohio 45231. Open forum will begin at 6. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll move. And I'll
I'll
second that.
Wow. All those in favor? Aye.
Who was
We are
the motion?
adjourned.
Who was the second?
I did.
Dave.
Okay.